Okay, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters. Before we begin, just like always, if you do have a myth you would like me to test in the next or future episodes of the Fortnite Mythbusters, make sure to go down in the comments down below and drop a comment of your myth for a pretty good chance to be featured. As well, if you guys are new around here and you do enjoy my content, or you have seen a Mythbusters video before, and of course you're watching another one right now, feel free to consider subscribing and turning on those post notifications. Only 15% of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you guys want to help us on the road to 1 million, I would really appreciate that. As well, if we could smash 15,000 likes on today's episode, that would be unreal. I would be very happy if we could smash that goal. Anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get right on in to today's episode. Kicking things off, jumping into the first myth. The first myth is, can you drown yourself in Spawn Island? Now, this myth was highly requested. For those of you who do not know, you could actually drown yourself in Fortnite, or just get stuck underneath some builds and you will actually die by drowning. Now, to be honest, I don't know if this has ever happened in a real game, like if it was unintentional and you actually died to drowning. The only times I've ever seen it in the kill feed is when like me and my friends were messing around or something. When I was trying this myth out, not only was it difficult to do because you're kind of on a time crunch for the battle bus to leave, but also the waves that go up to the island, they kind of bob up and down, so it's difficult to get your player to stay under the water the entire time. After multiple attempts though of different tries to get my player stuck underneath a certain build, you will start taking damage, but it won't actually count. You will hear the damage notifier, kind of like the sound effect of your player taking damage, like in a real game, but you don't lose any HP. Jumping into the next myth, and a very good myth. This myth is, do the cameras at the agencies turn red when it has seen a shadow henchman? For those of you who do not know, the agency, instead of it being full of shadow henchmen, it's actually a ghost henchman layer. I guess that's what you would really call it. I don't know the exact words, but I assume you guys get kind of what I mean. Around the agency, if you aren't wearing a ghost henchman disguise, these cameras that are located in random parts of the building, usually in the corners of the buildings and in like the hallways and protecting certain doors and stuff, when they notice your player, it'll kind of make this alarm go off, as well as the camera will turn red, kind of alerting all of the other henchmen around. I was actually shocked to see that when you are a shadow henchman and you go to the agency, which is a ghost henchman location, the cameras won't even notice you. They won't turn red. It's similar to like if you aren't wearing any disguise, the cameras will totally disregard that you're even there. I thought this was honestly pretty interesting and something good to know, I guess, if you ever are wearing the shadow disguise here. Going into the next myth. The next myth is, if you get a henchman disguise from the yacht and go to Meowskulls, will he notice you? For those of you who do not know, Meowskulls, his location, similar to Midas at the agency, Meowskulls was at the yacht before Deadpool took it over, so you obviously can put on a disguise and the boss won't even notice you until till the disguise has been removed. When I tried this myth out, I flew over to the yacht and got myself a henchman disguise on, and if Meowskulls was still at the yacht, I would be able to run straight up to him and he wouldn't even notice me. So of course I flew back to his new little hideout, which is right next to Retail Row, and unfortunately Meowskulls, he started shooting at me and killed me instantly. He literally had aimbot. I thought this was still good to know, but honestly, with how far apart both of these locations are, you're never really gonna go to Meowskulls and the yacht in the same game, because both locations will most likely be looted already. Going into the next myth. The next myth is, what happens when a ghost turret sees a shadow henchman? Now, this myth kind of goes hand in hand with the second myth that we tested out earlier on in today's episode regarding, a shadow henchman and a security camera at the agency, but this one, it might have a different outcome. So just like always, I went and I put on a shadow henchman disguise and made my way over to the agency where, the vault has turrets protecting it, and the agency, it's a ghost hideout, so obviously the turret's gonna be, not gonna shoot a ghost henchman. In a regular game, the turret will lock onto a player if he does not have the ghost henchman disguise on. If you're just a regular skin, the turret will lock onto you, and it will eventually start shooting you, dealing a lot of damage, shooting through walls, and basically locked onto you. When I tried this myth out in game though, to my surprise, the turret didn't even seem to notice me while I was in a shadow henchman disguise. I mean, I was literally right in front of it. I was pickaxing it, everything, and it didn't even notice me. It didn't even care. But as soon as I got rid of my disguise and I walked in front of it, it started shooting at me and locked onto my player. It's weird to think that you're literally disguised as an enemy and the defenses won't even notice you. I mean, you would think that's who you would notice the most, but it doesn't really seem like that's the case in Fortnite, I guess. Going into the next myth is, can you win a game while you're still on the battle bus? Winning a game of Fortnite means that, you know, you're the last player standing, or your team is the only last people standing. There's no more enemies on the map that you are, fighting against to get the victory royale. I previously tried to do this myth, actually winning a game on the spawn island before the battle bus even took off, and there were 2 people in the lobby. I had the enemy person leave the game, which made me the last person in the game, and the game didn't end. It didn't show the battle royale thing. It just maybe delayed the bus a little bit longer till it actually took off, and then the game begun like normal. When I tried this myth out in game though, I waited till we were in the battle bus, and then I had my second account who was on the enemy team leave the game. I didn't close out of the game. I actually left the game, going back to the main menu, and to my surprise, I actually was shown with the victory royale logo, as well as the little celebration thing. So in the end, yes, you could actually win a game while you're still on the battle bus, but if this ever happens in a real match, I highly doubt it, because there's 99 other people in the lobby that you have to count on to leave before that minute fly by. Going into the next myth is, can a ghost henchman revive a shadow henchman? Now I assume whoever wrote this comment, maybe they did not see the previous episode of the Mythbusters, and that's totally fine, but I actually tested this myth out. It wasn't this specific myth, but it was a very, very similar myth that kind of goes hand in hand with this one in the previous Mythbusters episode. Since this comment though got over like 1,000 or 2,000 likes, I decided to go over it once again, just to kind of touch up and make sure you guys know exactly what happens if a ghost henchman could actually revive a shadow henchman. When I tried this myth out, I knocked a ghost henchman at the agency and flew it all the way over to a shadow henchman hideout, and we threw the henchman out of the helicopter window, and he landed right next to the shadow henchman, but the shadow henchman didn't really seem to like that he was there. They shot him immediately, even though he was knocked down on the ground. They fully targeted him and killed him, and basically BM'd him. So unfortunately, like I said earlier, both of these henchmen, they're complete enemies, and they're not going to revive each other. If anything, they're just going to kill them on sight. Going into the next myth is, what happens when you get boogie bombed while you're carrying a teammate? Unfortunately, in the regular game of Fortnite, boogie bombs, they're not actually, publicly right now. I mean, they're only in creative mode, but we could still test this myth out, just in case boogie bombs ever do return, and I feel like they most definitely will return, because nobody really had a problem with them. When we tried this myth out in game, obviously we had to go into creative mode, and I was there with my second account as well, with a good friend of mine who was carrying my teammate, who was obviously on the second account. I then threw the boogie bomb to see what exactly happened, and surprisingly, in this case, the enemy, he threw the grenade while I was carrying my teammate, and when the boogie bomb was in range for my character to dance, no matter what, if I was jumping and I was in the air, or if I was on the ground, I would drop the teammate or whoever I'm carrying, and I would do the dance. What's weird is that the player who was knocked, he actually will get the disco ball above his head as well, but won't dance. Going into the next myth is, do bigger skins like Brutus have a bigger hitbox than skins like John Wick, or even the female character skins? Now way back in, I think like even the 3rd or 4th episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters, I tested out this myth, but it was a little bit different back then, because we basically only had 2 character models. We had the male and female character models, and then there was this brand new skin that came out, which was the Nutcracker, and he had a very, very tall hat vertically, which a lot of people thought he was the bad skin to use, obviously because he had a bigger hitbox. When we tried that myth out though, to our surprise, the hat that the Nutcracker had on, it didn't even affect the hitbox at all. The bullets just went straight through it, and the hitbox was the same size for like a male character skin. With there being a whole ton of new character models like the John Wick, as well as the Brutus, and tons of other big character models, do these characters actually have worse hitboxes than others? Like, is the Brutus giving you a disadvantage compared to John Wick? When we tried this myth out, surprisingly, at first it seemed like Brutus actually had a bigger hitbox, then we noticed that he was standing on a ledge. So we tried it once again, and John Wick as well as Brutus, they seem to have the exact same hitbox. Just the biggest disadvantage from using Brutus instead of John Wick is that you can't see that much in game because he takes up more space. From all of the tests, there's only 2 hitboxes, and they're very, very similar, which is the male and female character hitboxes. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, make sure to leave a like, and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. Turn on those post notifications to never miss another episode of the Fortnite Mythbusters. As well, just like always, if you do have a myth you would like me to test, make sure to drop it down in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time.